The first time you hear Everybody Loves the Sunshine, something changes. It washes over you like a warm breeze, like golden light filtering through your window on a quiet afternoon. It is more than just a song. It is a feeling. For decades, Roy Ayers brought that feeling to the world, blending jazz, funk, and soul in a way no one else could. He made music that did not just sound good, but felt good. Music that soothed the soul and lifted the spirit. On March 4th, 2025, the world lost that light. Roy Ayers passed away in New York City at the age of 84, leaving behind a legacy that will live forever. His family shared the heartbreaking news, asking for privacy, but promising a future celebration of his life. And there is so much to celebrate. He was more than just a musician. He was a pioneer, an innovator, and a storyteller who turned sound into emotion. His vibraphone was not just an instrument, it was his voice, and through it, he spoke to generations. Roy Edward Ayers Jr. was born in Los Angeles in September 1940, in a home filled with music. His mother was a pianist and schoolteacher, his father a trombonist. The sounds of jazz, gospel, and rhythm and blues were not just entertainment, they were a way of life. It was inevitable that Ayers would find his own place in music. But no, one could have predicted just how far he would go. One day, when he was just 5 years old, fate stepped in. While attending a performance at the Paramount Theater, he met Lionel Hampton, one of the greatest vibraphonists of all time. Hampton handed the young boy a pair of mallets, a simple gift that would change everything. Ayers always believed it was more than just a gesture. At the time, his mother and father told him that Hampton laid some spiritual vibes on him. Whether it was fate or coincidence, those mallets became a symbol of his future. It was not until he was 17 that Ayers picked up the vibraphone seriously, but once he did, there was no turning back. He had found his voice, and he was ready to share it with the world. In the 1960s, jazz was shifting. The traditional sounds of swing and bebop were making way for something new, something freer, something funkier. Ayers stepped into that world with confidence. His first album, West Coast Vibes, was released in 1963, showcasing his smooth and effortless style. Over the next few years, he continued to evolve, releasing albums like Virgo Vibes in 1967 and Stone Soul Picnic in 1968. Each record revealed more of who he was, an artist who refused to be confined by labels. By the 1970s, Ayers had fully embraced jazz funk, a genre he would help define. He formed his band, Roy Ayers Ubiquity, and together they created music that was unlike anything else at the time. It was jazz, but it had groove. It was funk, but it had depth. It was soul, but it had something extra, a warmth, a glow, a rhythm that felt alive. Then, in 1976, he released the song that would define his career. Everybody Loves the Sunshine was not just a hit. It was an anthem. With its dreamy keyboards, shimmering vibraphone, and soft, hypnotic vocals, it captured the essence of summer, of love, of life itself. It was a song that made people feel something, and it still does today. Few songs have the kind of staying power that Everybody Loves the Sunshine has. From the moment it was released, it became a classic, and over the decades it has only grown in influence. The song has been sampled by some of the biggest names in hip-hop and rhythm and blues, proving that its magic is timeless. Artists like Mary J. Blige, A Tribe Called Quest, The Roots, and Tyler, the Creator have all borrowed from its melody, its rhythm, or its essence. But it is not just about the samples. The song itself has a feeling that people connect with on a deep level. It is the sound of nostalgia, of happiness, of simple pleasures. It is the kind of song that makes people close their eyes and sway, lost in the warmth of its groove. Even decades after its release, it continues to find new listeners who discover its magic for the first time. Roy Ayers' influence stretched far beyond jazz. He was a bridge between genres, blending sounds in a way that felt natural and effortless. He did not see music in rigid categories. He saw it as a fluid, ever-changing expression of emotion and culture. He believed that music should be free, that it should move with the times while still carrying the soul of its origins. For him, it was never just about playing notes. It was about creating feelings, about telling stories without words. His music was an invitation, welcoming listeners into a world where jazz, funk, and soul existed in perfect harmony. Throughout his 6-decade career, he collaborated with legends across genres, from Fela Kuti to Erykah Badu. He embraced change, constantly evolving while staying true to the groove that made his sound so special. He was not chasing trends, he was setting them. His work with Fela Kuti introduced Afrobeat elements into his music, giving it a rhythmic complexity that resonated across continents. His collaborations with neo-soul artists in later years showed how his music remained relevant, seamlessly blending into new movements while still carrying the warmth and depth of his early work. Beyond his collaborations, Ayers was a mentor and inspiration to countless musicians. He believed in sharing knowledge, in passing down the lessons he had learned through years of experience. His presence was magnetic, his wisdom invaluable. Many artists who came after him credit him as a major influence, not just for his music, but for his attitude, his energy, and his unwavering commitment to the craft. He encouraged creativity, urged young artists to trust their instincts, and reminded them that music should always come from the heart. His legacy is not just in the records he left behind, but in the countless artists he inspired, in the new generations who carry his groove into the future. Despite his fame, Ayers remained grounded. He spoke about music as though it were his lifeline. He once said that if he did not have music, he would not even want to be here. To him, music was more than a career, it was his purpose. That passion was evident in every performance. Whether he was playing in front of thousands or in an intimate club setting, he gave everything he had. His energy was infectious, his joy unmistakable. Watching him play, you could see that this was not just something he did, it was who he was. Even as he grew older, he never stopped playing. Music was his love, and as long as he could hold a pair of mallets, he was going to share that love with the world. The news of Ayers' passing sent waves of sadness through the music world. Fans, artists, and admirers took to social media to share their memories, their gratitude, their heartbreak. But as much as his absence is felt, his presence is still here. It lingers in every note of Everybody Loves the Sunshine, in the rhythms of the countless songs that sampled his work, in the memories of those who saw him perform, felt his energy, and knew his magic. His music will continue to play on warm summer days, in quiet moments of reflection, in nights filled with dancing and joy. It will remind people of love, of light, of the simple pleasure of hearing something that just feels right. Roy Ayers was more than a musician. He was a feeling, a mood, a sound that made life just a little bit brighter. And even though he is gone, that sunshine will never fade. His influence extends beyond the people who listen to his music. It is in the artists who continue to draw from his sound, in the musicians who were inspired to pick up an instrument because of him, in the future generations who will hear his work for the first time and feel something they have never felt before. Music has a way of keeping people alive. It preserves their spirit, their essence, their truth. Roy Ayers left behind a body of work that ensures he will never be forgotten. His sunshine will keep shining, his rhythms will keep moving, and his melodies will keep bringing joy to those who need it. Though his physical presence may be gone, his impact will never fade. In every warm groove, in every shimmering note of the vibraphone, in every soulful rhythm, Roy Ayers will always be there. How has his music touched your life? What memories does Everybody Loves the Sunshine bring back for you? His legacy continues. Where do you hear his influence today?